Hello and welcome back to Franklin Covey's twice weekly podcast on leadership with Scott Miller, where each week I am privileged to sit in this studio and interview some of the world's most renowned thought leaders, business authors, business titans, people that have done amazing things. They have persevered through remarkable life challenges to bring to you their insights, their lessons, their motivation to continue to have you be a great leader. Perhaps it's as a formal leader inside of your organization, or perhaps informally inside your family as well. Franklin Covey is the world's most trusted leadership firm. We're now in our fifth year of what is the world's largest weekly leadership podcast, both audio and video. And today our guest is Zion Clark. You know him as an extreme athlete, as an entrepreneur. He is the author of the book, Work With What You Got. You probably recognize him from his countless television interviews, including The Ellen DeGeneres Show, NBC Nightly News. You probably have seen him on America's Got Talent. He's joining us today from a boat off the coast of San Diego. Zion Clark, welcome to On Leadership.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Well, we're honored to have you here. Zion, we like to interview people from all walks of life, from people that have, like I said in my opening, have had remarkable educational journeys and have written scientific discoveries, and we learn about what those mean in our lives. People that have survived airline crashes, people that have survived being kidnapped and raped and tortured, people that have had celebrity and talk about that, success was not as easy as it looked. And today I'm honored to be interviewing you to talk about your own journey. You are the author of the book, Work With What You Got. I'm going to guess most people recognize you either by the video or by your name as someone that was born without your lower limbs, and you have, through enormous triumph and perseverance, overcome, for a lot of people, unrelatable odds, and have gone on to become a renowned wrestler, elite athlete, motivational speaker. Zion, can you reorient yourself with those who perhaps may not know you yet, your life in the foster care system? Give us a little bit of a recap of your journey, if you would.
Yeah, no, so I went the first 17 years of my life in the foster care system in Ohio. But I went through a lot of different abuse, a lot of different struggles, whether I had a roof over my head or not. And my thing is, I'm known now as one of the world's top leading athletes. And with that being said, I'm a professional fighter. I'm a pro track and field athlete. And on top of that, I'm just an all-around master class martial artist. So with that being said, I have won multiple championships. I've won multiple titles. I've won multiple tournaments. I have set multiple world records and continue to set more and continue to break the limits of human potential.
Zion, in your book, there are a couple of very interesting quotes. One of them is, champions are made when no one is watching. And I think this is a common theme amongst the 300 plus people that I've had the privilege of interviewing here, is you usually see someone's seventh book become a bestseller, or their fifth radio program or podcast, or their eighth business. For you, you were born without your lower legs due to a fairly rare disease or condition. You made it through a horrifying life in different foster care systems and have triumphed independent about that. I'd love to have your take on this concept of champions are made when no one is watching.
Yeah, man, it's when you're by yourself and you have a goal, especially for me as an athlete. Me personally, I was putting in work off seasons and days where everybody's resting, and days when that nobody else is going to get up and do the hard job that you don't even want to do. That's when you go do it, because that's when you're going to see your results when it comes time for competitions, when you're going to see your results when it comes time to get actual work done. And so I've really I put that mode of thinking, I put that type of lifestyle into everything. Even when I might be chilling here on the yacht, I'm thinking of ideas, and I'm thinking of ways that I can progress and still level up and still push farther than where I'm at right now. So it doesn't stop when I just hit a certain level of success. It stops when I'm dead. You know what I mean? So my thing is, you gotta just work. You gotta work your ass off, man, and you gotta push past the levels of comfortability, and you gotta push past the levels of being unsure, and push past the burden of not thinking that you can complete a task. Because my thing is, everything is doable. Everything is doable. If it hasn't been done yet, it can be done. And if you're gonna do it, might as well work when nobody's watching, whether they're watching or not. Put in the hardest work you can every day.
I think it's a great tribute to the fact that there's no such thing as overnight success. I think in modern times, we see these social media influencers, people breaking out overnight with endorsement deals and TikTok revenue. The fact of the matter is, for the vast, vast majority of us, it is a series of commitments and recommitments, is it not, to continue to perfect your craft or to build your audience. And the same has happened with you. I mean, Zion, by every effort, the odds were stacked against you, right? You are a black man born in a time with enormous racial prejudice and tension against black men. You had no lower limbs. You were raised in the foster care system without a stable family who loved you and invested in you. You talk in your book about how the odds were stacked against you, yet you triumphed in spite of all that. Was there perhaps a pivotal moment, an individual who was a transition figure? Was there a time in your life you can recall when you decided that you were going to be successful, to live a life you were proud of, to influence others in spite of countless variables stacked against you?
Yeah. Well, sorry, hold on, sorry. I was getting a phone call. I'm so
It's
sorry.
okay. Let me ask the question
So I
again.
have to like try to, yeah, you want to ask it again? That'd be
Yeah, I'm
great.
happy to. I basically said, all the odds were stacked against you, right? From your race to your disability to where you were raised, out of family. Was there like a pivotal point in your life or a person in your life that inspired you or you were inspired by to say, listen, I can wallow in my challenges and the world's lack of support for me, or I can change my circumstance and make something of myself? When did that happen? How did that happen?
Man, so it wasn't necessarily a moment of when it happened, but it's more so it was a gradual increase of understanding what was going on around me, and understanding the gravity of my situation, and just kind of saying F it, and just pushing forward, and just not really caring about what comes next. You got to live in that moment, and you got to just realize that not everybody's here for you. Even now in this world, not everybody's here supporting what I do, and you got to learn how to be your own man, be your own person, and like grind at your own pace and work at your own pace. Now, given my pace is, I like to move very fast and very efficiently, and I've always been like that. But there came a time where definitely, like as I got older, I realized that okay, that if something's gonna happen, I have to make it happen. Nobody's gonna make it happen for me. Things aren't just gonna happen overnight. I just got to just ignore all the crap that was going in one ear and let it go out the other one. And so that's kind of my answer for that.
Zion, I'd love to know how you choose your opportunities. For example, you're on America's Got Talent, right? Hundreds of millions of people probably know you from that. How did you choose to focus on wrestling, to focus on building your not just your upper body strength, but Herculean upper body strength? How did you decide that your ticket to success, your ticket to a better life, was going to become this sort of elite extreme athlete where you ultimately competed on hundreds of stages and arenas and in rings? What was your decision-making process like that led you to that as your ticket out?
I never really thought of it as my ticket out, honestly. I've been in the sport since I was 5 years old, man. So it's just been part of my life where I've just enjoyed every single moment of it. And even now, the more training I get, the more prep I get for my even next fight that's going to be happening here in the possible 4 or 5 months. I'm really like, I never thought like, okay, yeah, this is my way out. This is my way out. My way out was just figuring out how to be happy, whatever the circumstances were, and that's how I was able to like be comfortable with it. You know, me becoming a professional athlete, that's just a blessing. That's just a plus. You know what I mean? But like for my way out, I didn't know what my way out was, but I was happy that I had a family and I was happy that I was getting to do what I love, and that's all that really mattered.
Zion, you write a lot in your book about the foster care system and what your experience was like for those people, the vast majority of people that are listening to this podcast or watching it that have no concept for the foster care system. What would you like us to know? What do you think should be changed? What's important for the world to know about how the foster care system works and doesn't work?
Okay, well, the foster care system, I'm gonna just be honest with you, it's a broken system throughout the entire country. I have worked with different organizations like All Star and a few other ones that I'm going to be actually heading back to do more work with coming up here in the next month. But listen, the system, all in all, is completely broken. These kids aren't getting treated the way that we should be. They're not getting the type of care they need. A lot of kids, they age out of the system and they become unemployed, they become homeless, or they get on drugs, or they go to prison. And that's not what we're raising these kids to grow up and be like. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to start my own organizations. I'm trying to start my own programs where I'm going to go to some of these foster care organizations that do need help. And when I say organization that needs help, I'm talking about the organizations that aren't doing the right thing. You know, like I said, a lot of these kids, they're not getting the right type of treatment, the type of care they need. But let me throw All Star in there for an example. They're doing it right, and these kids. When I went and visited them, they felt comfortable with the people and the utilities and resources that were provided for them. And so I'm kind of taking a little page out of their book, which was kind of already my plan originally, but they're the ones that have been executing it way ahead of time. And we need to get right things set up for these kids, from schooling if they want to go to school, to workforce jobs if they want to go into the workforce, or if anything, you want regular life skills. Well, a lot of these kids that grow up, they don't have any life skills because they weren't guided the right way, and they turn to the streets, and they turn to drugs, and they turn to violence and breaking the law. And people are like, well, if they just listen to the people around them, this or that, they'd still be outstanding people. But that's not how it works. As a kid, you soak in your environment. And if the environment isn't suitable for these kids, then they're not going to come out the way that you think they are. And me, I feel like I'm an exception. I'm a fluke. I've had every reason to just throw my entire life away and get in trouble, be in prison, be on drugs, be in the streets. And I chose not to. And my thing is, yeah, I was raised out in the streets a bit, man. I got my homies and stuff, but here's the thing, I still was blessed with a family at the very end of it that wanted to speak life and wanted to raise me to be an upstanding man. And so what's broken with the system is that we don't have enough people that look at kids the way that my mother looks at kids, the way that certain families look at children, where they see the light that's in them and they try to cultivate it and turn it into something amazing. So I'm trying to bring the systems back to where we can build and where we can put together a formula to where these kids, they can grow up happy, healthy. And then by the time they're grown adults, they have a stable mindset to go do amazing things in this world.
Zion, you have a tattoo on your back that reads, "Never give up." And at first blush, that makes sense to everyone. Would you maybe be a bit vulnerable and talk about a time when you were tempted to give up, when the odds were stacked against you, when you felt like you weren't going to be able to triumph, but yet you channeled that quote, "never give up," on your back, that might inspire people who are facing their own challenge right now that are close to throwing in the towel?
Wrestling is a perfect example. When I was in high school, man, I lost over 200 times before I won. And so, like, I remember I was wrestling this match. It was called this tournament called the J.C. Gorman Invitational, and it was like it was some of the best. It was some of the best wrestlers around the state of Ohio. A couple of nationally ranked cats, and I remember I was in the quarterfinals to try to get to the semi. I was in the quarterfinals to get to the semifinals, and this guy, we were just having just the battle of my career at that point. And I remember I just partially dislocated my shoulder. I had torn some muscles in my chest. I just messed up my entire left hand. And I didn't know if I could win. The guy just took me down, and like I'm sitting there at the edge of the mat, a little bloody, like sitting there, like really feeling defeated. And my coach came up to me and we had a little conversation. And next thing you know, I stood up, walked back out there to overtime, and executed. And next thing you know, I got my hand raised and I ended up in the finals.
It's a great story. I can visualize it. Zion, I'd like you to give me some advice as a parent. Most of our viewers and listeners know that my wife and I, Stephanie, live here in Utah, and we are parents to 3 young boys, 9, 11, and 13. And I'd like for you to give me some advice. We obviously live an able-bodied life. Fortunately, all of our children have all of their arms and legs and are very healthy. And when they see someone with a physical disability, or perhaps they see someone that has a prosthetic, or someone who's in a wheelchair, or perhaps someone that has a different visual body than they do, as a parent, I want to make sure that our children are respectful, that they're inquisitive, that they show good manners, that they learn to appreciate and value everybody the same, but they also take away lessons that make them grateful for what they have, but also contribute back to society. When you see someone in an airport or a restaurant, and you know that they either recognize you or they're interested in the fact that you're in a wheelchair with no legs, would you give the rest of the world just some brotherly advice on how you like to be approached? Do people ask you about your journey? Is that a violation of your privacy? What would you say to that, to all the parents that are trying to do the right thing and make sure that their children's or their even own curiosity is done in a way that's respectful to you, but educates them?
For an adult, you know how to respect. For adults, like it's obvious on how you respect somebody. If you want to come say hi, come say hi. It's normal as that. As a kid, for your kids, teach them that their people are different. Make sure that they understand that like just because I'm different doesn't mean that they're better than me or I'm better than them. At the end of the day, we're all people, and that's what I try to get across. And if you're an adult and you come up and you are somewhat unintelligent, I would say I let you know about that, and I will respectfully call you stupid. And then, I on aside from that, if you're a kid and you ask questions that are really insensitive, as a kid, I will sit down there and talk to you. You know what I mean? I can tolerate that. Kids they're innocent, they're pure. So I don't mind sitting there talking to a child and being like, hey, that's like this is how you say this or something like that. And then I make sure if their parents are around and be like, showing them how my response, even though their kids
Yeah.
are coming at me a little sideways, that me on my part, I have the ability as a grown man myself to go speak life into somebody else, especially in those situations.
I like your answer.
But
You
if
can
not,
use it as a teaching moment for everybody.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm guessing it gets tiring. I guess there are times when you'd like to be left alone and you wish that the parents or the children, whoever, had maybe thought through their approach a little bit more deliberately.
I mean, man, there is 8 billion people, or probably more than that now on this planet. I don't really care, honestly, how people want to approach me. I am kind of stopped that. I have been around the block, man. I've been around the planet a few times. I've seen all types of people, all types of kids. And my thing is, I don't really care. If you really want my honest opinion, I don't really care. I am living my life and I am working hard to change the lives of kids, and I'm working hard to be the most dangerous athlete on the planet. And if you want to come speak to me, I will always indulge conversation. But at the end of the day, if you're purposely like coming out your way to try to tell me something ignorant or something like that, I
Yeah.
just don't care, and I
Yeah.
just keep pushing.
Well said.
So like that's just me.
Zion, your book is Work with What You Got. I'd like to end our conversation today on the following topic. I firmly believe that the key to happiness in life is gratitude. Being grateful for what you have, grateful for what you don't have, grateful for what maybe you had and lost and now better appreciate it. What advice would you give to all of our listeners and viewers that are struggling to find gratitude in their life that connects to happiness? You obviously have been dealt a much more difficult hand in life than the vast majority of the 8 billion people on the planet, and you've made amazing progress, and you've become this inspiring force for millions of people. What's been kind of your guiding principle that you want to remind everybody of in life?
I mean, when it comes to gratitude and being grateful, you could be grateful literally about anything. For me personally, I'm grateful that I'm able to take a breath out of my lungs every morning. Not everybody gets the chance to wake up every day. And that's just the world we live in. That's the law of nature. So while we're still here, be grateful. Learn how to find happiness in just that first breath, because with every breath you take, that's another opportunity for you to go and attempt to do something amazing.
Zion, what's next for you? What's on your horizon other than
I'm
San Diego?
I'm about to get some traveling in, and about to go around, do some speeches around the planet. And then, top of that, I'm preparing for my next fight, which I can't talk too much about. But just be on the lookout, because somebody's about to get their ass kicked again. So, like, there's that.
Zion Clark, thanks for your time today. Your book is Work with What You Got. We appreciate you joining us today and for our audience.
Absolutely. Thank you, man.
And we'll see you back here next week for a new conversation on leadership.